for Africa, it's a very important date because that was the starting point of the colonial conquest of Europe in Africa. But most often I don't like to start the story, to end the story there, because that's not where it begins and that's not where it ends. Because in the year 1500, European countries have already been fighting in Africa. So if colonialism was only started in 1884, then how come European powers wanted to avoid fighting? This means that they had been fighting before. About 1555, there has been the first war of European powers.
The decolonial learning process is very important in the school programs of the Global South because the young people in the Global South need to know their roots. They need to know all what was done in the colonial era so that they can construct the decolonial mind. This requires skills, this requires true information, this requires the right content for these young people.
Access to in our districts and who is already working to it. So as Anna already mentioned, the library, the museum is already really active, it does a lot of things.
This is really our main focus at the public library. The children are coming here, and I think it's really our responsibility to offer them the interesting books that you have in this respect. And there are these books and the usual books.
Germany is one of the countries that colonized Cameroon, and today there is a discussion in Germany about the decolonial perception. I'm glad that Joliba and Bamenda Film School are working together. That's the North-South working together to see how we can achieve our objective towards decolonizing African.
Make a project like this in between Cameroon and Uganda, especially for children. Yeah, for us it's important to be here to see how it happens here and cooperating with Joliba and see how we can develop this project on a long-term perspective.
So this is language and all kind of,
African women were really affected during colonization. If we create spaces for these women where they can sit, maybe learn traits or jobs that can empower them, it will really be a good opportunity, like creating the decolonial library, which will help to educate them on their rights and duties, also creating job opportunities for these women. If we do things that can empower these ladies, then I think we will achieve the result of the colonial perspective.
Samba to this king in Jang, the great grandfather of Alex, Melo, to Unso, everywhere. So when you talk about resistance to German colonialism, it's not that they were occurring isolated. No, this was a more systemic thing. It was coming from all over the country. Why do we need these things in Cameroon? We need them to show that the Cameroonian local civilization is something that had existed, that Cameroonians were craftsmen, they had created things like this. That's the first reason. The second reason is that in Cameroon context, in most of our tribal context, in the grassroots context of Cameroon, where most of these are from, art is never simply art.
The gap of inequality between the global south and the north can be breached through this education and this learning process of decolonization. Of course, when we get inspirations from authors like May Ayim and some other activists, or from people like Bino that have been very active in the process of decolonization, you get the sense of belonging that is being transplanted from the global south to the north and from the north to the south. This also involves exchanges where people of the north go to the south and people of the south come to the north. So this is the bridge, and this takes us to the Europe-Africa shared future that we have. And this is the basis of bringing all of us to the same level of equality understanding, cooperation, and reciprocity.
Vedin and Moabit was more of an area that was made to settle workers, so the housing there were cheaper, not the best quality, as well as the roads, and that is why a lot of the migrant workers coming in could afford staying here. And we then see an influx of Africans here, and because one comes and finds it okay, and Africans like community living and not just being around, they turn to try to build that same community in a specific area. And so this leads to more and more.
The necessity comes at the right time that organizations like the Bamenda Film School, Joliba, and the Popular Action Party comes to make a partnership of Global South and North in order to enforce city corporations to decolonize minds of young people. We are urging and enforcing these learning programs to be part of the curriculum of schools in the Global South. And we are doing all within our capacity to achieve these goals.
In Bamenda and in Berlin
And Kampala.
and Kampala, you can do this. It's called like a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's hybrid project, but you can only get 10,000 euros for that project, and you also have to do like information work in Berlin and in your other city or your both cities. But it's also it has a
The community of Bamenda are anxiously waiting for the result of this cooperation, especially the continuity of this cooperation, because I think this will help to come a long way, since in Cameroon, most especially, since in Africa and most especially Cameroon, we do not have the real history about this de-colonial perception. So I think mostly the women are waiting to get the feedback that I will bring from here and how we are going to do to continue this decolonization perspective.